off to visit your mother.
Hello everyone, I can't record this video, and today we're talking about underrated operators. Yeah, we got it that time. And why are we talking about underrated operators? Because we're not going to talk about overrated operators. Why are we talking about not overrated operators? Because sometimes when you're playing overrated operators, they don't feel very overrated. And so it's good to mix things up a little bit, because sometimes that funk you've got is because you're just not vibing with the crew, you're just not feeling that energy, you're not on the same wavelength, and you've got to find someone who's more cosmically aligned with your energies at that time. So we have a list, a hand-picked mercenary list, and soon enough it will be a mercenary list of various convicts who've committed crimes across various continents that are being employed because Harry likes fixing people. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, a list of people who I think you should play if you're currently struggling to play the normal meta, because the meta can be stale and the meta doesn't necessarily mean the best option. Well, I mean it does objectively, but we're not pro players. We're not pretending to be pro players. We are ranked players at various degrees, and we need to have a bit of fun sometimes instead of just getting trashed. And mixing up your particular diet of operators is a perfect way to do that. So it's quite a long list, but I wanted it to be reasonably long so that you had options. So right at the top of the list is Oryx. Why should you take Oryx? He can run through walls, he can climb up hatches, he's got a very strong SMG, and he has a shotgun secondary. So the shotgun secondary sucks, but it can clean up rotations that other people have made. Thankfully, if that's not an option and no one's making the rotations, you're a human rotation. Not in that people can climb inside you and come out the other end, but they can throw you into walls, or you can throw yourself into walls. It's up to you. I mean, really, you're the one doing all the work, you're the one pumping the legs, breaking through all the drywall and pillars and things. But anyway, yeah. You can break walls and you can make rotations very, very quickly at the expense of only 5 health, which isn't really that bad a trade, unless you're a pro player, but we're not pro players, don't pretend to be. So Oryx is a good pick. He's been maligned, I think, because of how bad he was at the start, but he's got a better gun, his gadget works better now, or not his gadget, but his ability. You can recover quite quickly, so you can actually use the wall run effectively, and the hatch climbing, it just opens avenues for rotations and roaming. So use Oryx, especially if you like Legion. There you go. Yana, this is one for people who like Ash with the carbine, the G36 carbine that is, or people who like playing as Nomad with the ARX, which hopefully shouldn't be anyone. I know there's only, you know, mutated horrible creatures from nuclear wastelands that use that gun, but in case you've managed to wander in here, I'll explain to you slowly, since I know that you struggle to comprehend. Yana has the same gun as that man, but with a foregrip, so it makes it a bit better. But yeah, the gadget's not the best, but it's fine. She's got frags, which is always good, and it's another thing. You want to mix things up. Mix it up. It gives you lots of intel and distracts people, so you can set up pushes where folk think, oh, he's coming from this direction, and then all of a sudden it was him. He was just taking his time and I thought he was coming from somewhere else. Oh my god, terrifying. And your team also benefit from it if you want to do a little double push, you know, a little bit of argy-bargy. Someone's not paying attention. Oh, 2 people running in at once. Which one's the real one? Probably the albino. Oh, no it's not. Bang. Dead, killed by a Jew. And there you go. Callie is the next one. Callie's a bit more difficult to advocate because she's kind of hard, but her gadget does what Thatcher does, and so if you want that kind of role, if you enjoy that kind of role, and I know plenty of you do, go for it. Just give it a try and use her secondary as her primary, and basically only use the sniper rifle if you need to destroy specific things, or if you want to show off a little bit, you know, as an option. But otherwise, secondary is pretty good. You know, it's a solid secondary. The Clash gun, SP SMG9. Not the other one. The other one's kind of best avoided. Amaru is next on the list. She's my special one. You've seen it from the clip here. Whenever I'm having a funky time, I tend to call Amaru to make it less funky. Not in a sad way, but in more of a sometimes your grandma just needs to make you feel a bit better type way. You know, when you're really down in the dumps and you're just like, Gran, can you make me some scran? And Gran's like, yeah, no bother. And that's you sorted out. Because she's got a nice gun. She's got a gadget that does the job. She can have a shotgun. She can have 2 shotguns. But she should have an LMG and an SMG, because that's the most reliable combo. But just fun, you know, different, and we're all about mixing things up. Why not play these characters? Nokk is the next one. What does Nokk do? Surprisingly, get onto the site without anyone knowing much more often than you'd think. So if you can play around your cameras and know that people don't know you're coming, if you literally can just walk on site if they don't have a Legion or barbed wire. And it's quite funny, because, I mean, you just wouldn't expect it to work, but it just does, so give it a chance. Plus her SMG with a 1.5 is a monster, and she has a deagle in the pocket, so give her a try. Warden on defense, harder one to argue? No-ish. He's got a C4, which is good. He's got a shield, which is good. Can't have them both, which is bad. But you can have glasses, and the glasses can see through flashbangs, they can see through smoke. You can wipe those effects away if you receive them. And just people don't expect Warden, so you know, if Glass ever becomes a meta pick again, which he won't, but maybe he will, he is the counter, the ultimate counter, the monster. So, it's an option there. And plus, it's just fun sometimes if someone does decide to go for a smoke plant, or the, you know, the old Ying smoke thing, you just completely shut it down. Plus, he has the MPX, which doesn't hit at all. It is a pea shooter. It's a very accurate pea shooter. And with that 1.5, he is much more deadly than he used to be. I have to say, he deserves a lot more credit than what he used to get. So, feel free to take him. Clash is the next one. I have a tumultuous relationship with Clash, because whenever I play Clash, she breaks. And whenever I make guides for Clash, she is removed from the game half a week later. So, you know, we get on really well. It's a very strained relationship. I can't stand her. I hate her. And I still play her because she's fun. Again, this list is... The way I'm thinking here, it's not always about optimizing strategies, because ultimately you're playing a game, and the aim of the game is to have fun as well as compete. And at least with these operators, you might not be the absolute tip-top refined competitive unit, but you're not going to be far off. They are underrated for a reason. Now, I've seen some people say that outright you shouldn't play Clash because Clash is a crutch for teams that can't do certain things. I understand the mindset, but I reject that, because you could then argue that any operator that facilitates any type of play is a crutch, because they wouldn't be able to do that kind of play without that operator. It's a totally flawed argument. It's like, oh well, you can't play Clash because if you play Clash, that's just because you're making up for this failing in your defense. Like, well, not necessarily. Maybe they're choosing the weaker defense because it is facilitated by the Clash. You know, sometimes an operator allows you to do something that you otherwise wouldn't do. So, try Clash. Alibi. She's pretty solid. I mean, Lucky, who's a member of my squad, very, very good on Alibi. She's got an incredibly rapid weapon, the recoil's incredibly manageable, she's got impact, her gadget provides some pretty solid intel, especially if you've got a point where you can make the base of the gadget hard to detect or hard to hit, whilst making the body of the gadget easy to shoot at and easy to get in the way. Basically, it can essentially be used as like a proxy alarm and persistent intel about positions. It's just good. It's got lots of facets to it. It's got mind games involved where you can place it around places to set up ambushes and all that kind of stuff. It has the opportunity for you to actually think and decide how you want to use your gadget, and those are the most fun gadgets to me, are the ones that give you those options, rather than it just being this thing does this thing and there's no other way to deal with it. Plus her revolver is insane. So yeah, good operator. give her a try. Lion. This one, I can understand why people don't like Lion as much, because he's a character I'd describe as a win more character. If you're already doing well, he will make that well doing more effective. He'll sort of solidify your position even more, because he's essentially, if you've already created pressure, he allows that pressure to be even more potent. But as a character in his own right, he's okay, but ultimately people can still shoot you when they're standing still, so that's the kind of approach that you have to take. And also, if someone's running at you anyway, it's not really going to matter that you've got them pinged, because you'll hear them, so it's just a case of, you know, who's better on the trigger. But he has his positives. He has a good gun. The gadget can be very useful for post-plant, for stuff like that. If you're getting high pressure from an aggressive team, sometimes it can be enough to convince these roamers who would otherwise do runouts to not do the runouts on you, which is, you know, it's nice. So consider taking him if you are getting hammered by runouty people, and, you know, just give that gun a try. The Vector is pretty good. The 417 is also a very reliable gun. Was overshadowed by the FAMAS on Twitch. I'd say not so much anymore. I think it's pretty even, but the 3x optic is actually, yeah, that changes my mind. The 3x is awful. Until they fix that, it's probably not actually that usable. Anyway, Dokkaebi. Similar argument to the 417 here, in that her DMR kind of needs to function with a 1x, because 3x's are just too oppressive in the siege environment. But aside from that, the gadget, very good in a lot of situations. And I'm not just talking about the phone calls, I'm also talking about the cameras, which are so often overlooked. All you need is that one pick, get the phone, and you're good. You've got access to their entire camera network, including yokai drones. That can be a huge amount of intel. So be prepared to get your dead men on those cams the moment you scan the phone thing, observation tool, because it's just good, it's useful. Nobody's ever going to complain about a Dokkaebi. I believe she's getting frags back, or she's already got frags back. I can't really remember. It's been a while since I played her. Her secondary is okay. It could be better. The SMG-12 was crazy when it was first released, but the nerf was far too much. They need to roll back some of that because it is unplayably bad now. But the C75, you know, you can use it. So it's a backup there for the DMR if you're not a fan of using DMRs. But her one is not bad. You know, it's accurate, it's fast. It's only hampered by the fact that, again, they force you to use 3x's if you want any kind of magnification, which is dumb. Ying. Ying's just good. She's got a pretty average gun, but it's very comfortable to use. It sometimes feels a bit under-damaged when you're getting those hits on people, but the incredibly fast reload for the size of the magazine, the fast ADS with next to no recoil, I mean, you can slap an angled grip on there and use a 2x and it doesn't feel bad at all. That kind of makes up for the slight lack of damage. Plus, her gadget can be insane when used properly. The trouble is that people often think she's bad because they like to throw flashes in and not capitalise on it, and then they basically just end up running in with no utility at all. And they're like, oh, Ying is terrible. Like, yeah, okay, you didn't use your gadget, or you used it and then didn't push. It's the most frustrating thing, this spend utility and then don't take advantage of it type play that people do. Is really odd. I'm not saying that you should be hitting people with a concussion and then running at them straight away when you're playing as Zofia. You know, concussion is more of an oppression mechanic than anything else. But, you know, when you've got a flashbang and you're tossing 3 of them into a room to blanket it, don't just throw them and then stand still. You've achieved nothing. You know, it's a pressure tool. It's designed to give you kills. It might not always be the most reliable, but if you've droned it out right and you've blanketed it properly instead of just hitting the one spot and throwing 3 flashbangs in the same place, then, you know, push. Anyway, that's another rant for another day. So yeah, Ying's good. Try Ying. Kapkan, second last one. People just don't look for EDDs when they're put in clever places. Put yourself in the mind of the attacker. Where are you going to come from? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to come from, Cotton Eye Joe? And then once you've figured that out, you can take advantage of that by placing EDDs in places where you need to really think if they're coming up to this door laterally and they're likely to see a door frame, make sure the EDD is on the opposite side of the door frame so that they're not going to spot it on their way in. Sometimes you're going to have doors obviously that have two ways of coming at them. You just have to predict which one's the right one, and I guarantee you, you're going to catch people off guard. Not everyone has the time or the wherewithal or the care to be spending time looking for EDDs, and don't be afraid to put some on site, because if you think you're going to have presence on site, it's actually less common for people to check for traps inside a site. You know, if you've got like, let's say one between, you know, one half of kitchen and the other half of kitchen and cafe, people don't tend to be looking for gadgets there, and so if that catches them, well, you got a little bonus damage. And the last one, oh by the way, Kapkan has good guns and C4, so you know, good. Last one is Fuze. Fuze, I used to argue, was very, very good when he had the shield and the pistol as a combo. He still has that, but pistols and shields, shields are just useless now, so don't bother, especially the base shields. You know, it's just really not worth using unless you're a blitz or a mon. So use the AK. The AK is a good gun. It's a shame that he's hampered by Russian optics, but what are you going to do? I think, does he have a 2x now? He may have a 2x now. If he does, then, you know, all the better. If he doesn't, then you're just going to have to put up with the Russian ACOG, but he does work well if he's used properly. He's got 4 of his cluster charges. They can be great pressure tools, especially if they're used in conjunction with the rest of your team pushing horizontally onto site, and then you can be up doing the vertical damage. But also if you've got rooms that are full of utility and you need to clear that utility, a good cluster charge will eat ADSs and then destroy them, or destroy bandit batteries. Whatever you need to destroy, he can do. So as long as you've got those ceilings, you can take advantage of them. Just don't try to go for kills as your primary function. You know, don't be placing them on windows and stuff as a primary function, because it's a waste of bigger potential. And if you get killed by someone who hears you planting the cluster charge, then, you know, you've done nothing for your team, really. So focus on doing the more important things first. So that was my little list of people that I think you should play. Sorry it was kind of haphazard, but, you know, I just thought I'd throw it together, give some reasons why you should play them, and hopefully enjoy it. If you enjoyed the video, please tell me. Maybe leave a like, subscribe possibly, because the vast majority of people who watch the videos are not subscribed, and I know that's just how YouTube works, but it's nice to see, especially since I'm a little baby boy when it comes to YouTube. So, you know, gives you a wee hand. I'll see you in the next one, everyone. Do svidaniya. Bye bye.